All right, welcome to the Stampscapes test lab. This is just a pack of photos that I got at CVS, some enlargements, 4x6. I figured I was safe getting my prints from CVS because they do all the printing on site. And I figured it was the old technology of printing out whatever, dye-based inks onto photo paper, okay? Now, another time that I got some mail order prints, not too long ago, I ordered them from Shutterfly, okay? And the problem that I found was that I couldn't print on top of this type of photo paper with dye-based inks like I used to be able to in the past. I figured it was something specific with Shutterfly. I thought they were printing out and spray sealing their inks or something like that to give it a glossy sheen or, I don't know, sealant, I guess, okay? But I just got these recently at CVS thinking I would be pretty safe because they're not sending it to some kind of like mass production industrial kind of, I don't know, printing lab or something like that. Dye-based inks right here. Inking it up fully. Just your dye-based ink, okay? Water-based inks. That is supposed to stick onto emulsion-coated photo paper with no problem, okay? So let's just give this a good impression time frame so you can see that, if this were accepting the ink, it would transfer over to the surface without any problem. I'll even give it a little bit of extra pressure here. And that, by all accounts should be an adequate impression time on any type of paper that's going to accept water-based media, provided it's, somewhat porous and can accept that type of medium. Some transfer, it looks more like a ghost image, right? Okay, so I'm thinking, what in the world is going on here? I'm thinking it's the same type of thing that was going on with Shutterfly. I just moistened a piece of paper towel, and that comes off completely. So whatever, these printers are using these days, it must be some sort of waterproof ink that's going on there. Probably drying instantly, but not only that, but it's sealing off the entire surface, making it, it can't be permeated with water-based medium, okay? We can try a StazOn or something like that on there, but it's not going to take your dye-based inks like your photo paper printed on an inkjet printer like at home, okay? That should work just fine. And let me give this a shot with the StazOn though. I don't know if it'll accept it or not. It would probably be like trying to stamp some StazOn on a piece of glass, which works for a lot of different types of imagery. But if you're working with one that's pretty solid here, let's give it a shot. And, hopefully it prints out. I do print out these types of things onto a metallic mirrored cardstock, so maybe this will print on here. We'll give it a shot though. All right, now this one, same thing. I'll try to give it a pretty good amount of pressure. StazOn as like a permanent ink, like as if we're stamping with something like a Sharpie ink or something like that. Permanent marker type of thing. I don't know if it's the exact same chemistry. It's probably a little bit different. Otherwise, I would imagine the pads would dry much faster. So there's probably some sort of binder in there to make it not quite so, there's less drying, I don't know, whatever solution in there or something like that. Okay, that should be enough, I would guess. Peeling it off like that. Not too bad. See, it missed this kind of area on the back of that horse right there. We can fill that in, as I've shown, with printing these horses onto a piece of silver cardstock. But What I'm going to do is, speaking of Sharpie markers, just a permanent marker type of thing. What you do is if you're working with a silhouette image, you can just go in and fill in some of these forms like this where it didn't print out. Sometimes it doesn't print out in a large area and you have to really kind of fill it in. So you can kind of fill it in. It doesn't fill in perfectly as if we're drawing on a piece of matte paper because this is slippery still. But you can give it pretty good coverage to the point where it looks pretty good. It might have a little bit of texture to it, but that's just one of those things kind of working on these types of surfaces. So I don't know. I was hoping that I can get away with using these different photo enlargement services, like at your local drugstores. But for me, this isn't going to work. I mean, I can kind of do this type of thing on here, but I'd much, much rather be able to use a variety of media over the top of my photos. It just makes it so much more, I don't know, whatever, universal in terms of the applications of it. I'll probably use these types of things for some vellum, photo stamping where you stamp on a piece of vellum and then you can paste it right over the top of that and do some other things with opacity. But that's another video. You can see some photo stamping vellum scenes. I even have an album on this YouTube channel devoted to photo stamping, but some of them are photo stamping vellum applications. Okay, but anyways, this is a 4x6 piece of mirrored cardstock, and you can see the dynamic type of applications you can do with photo stamping, and it's certainly an easy card. What are we at the 7-minute mark right now? I mean, I just did one impression. I mean, this card could be a 5-minute card or something like that, maybe even less. You can stamp out some additional types of foreground down here. Again, with StazOn ink right down here. But again, if I could stamp this directly on top of a photo print with just my regular dye-based inks without having to go in and fill it in, much, much better. So if I wanted to color this or anything like that, I don't know if I really could. I guess you can do it with some, some alcohol inks and probably get some tinting on there. But again, the just the straight types of home photo paper printing types of applications, it'll accept things like, I think, alcohol inks much better than having such a sealed surface like that. But again, the benefits of photo stamping, it can be pretty fun, pretty dynamic. I mean, this alone looks pretty cool. All this is a piece of 4x6, print or whatever size you're doing, just to pair that with whatever that top portion is. And look at that. It really makes it, really dynamic. Okay, but anyways, so yeah, I don't know if it's the same thing for every whatever pharmacy out there, or that the types of places that still offer in-store enlargements. But it might be, that there's just some new tech out there these days that they're utilizing for your enlargements. And like I said, they appear to be, I don't know what it would be. I don't know if it's like just some kind of like permanent pigment ink or what they're using, but it appears to be waterproof. Not good for a water-based dye ink impression anymore. Again, if you have your home inkjet printer, it'd probably be the best way to go in terms of photo stamping and the different types of media that we're using out there in rubber stamping. All right, thanks for watching. Hope this came in handy.